18, I got $1 million from Bill Gates, and people always ask me, like, how did that happen? I never have actually really taken the time to reflect on how that happened. It just became one of those things that was just part of my story. But in this video, I want to share how that happened so maybe it can happen to more people. So in 2014, I was awarded the Gates Millennium Scholarship. I believe currently they have changed the name to the Gates Scholarship, but at the time when I graduated high school, it was called the Gates Millennium Scholarship. So I believe at the time that I applied, I was 17 years old. It was in the year of 2013. So it's a few months before you actually find out if you got the scholarship. So it was 2017, and I had heard about the scholarship from my high school counselor. And I remember her telling me about the details. There's tens of thousands of people that apply, and around 1,000 are selected. But I remember her encouraging me to still apply because based on my test scores and different things, I could be a pretty good candidate. So I will tell you guys, I was a pretty smart person on paper. I was pretty blessed. School just really came easy to me. I didn't really work hard at school. I had good test scores and good grades, and she told me to apply. Now, the one caveat that me and her worked through and I was working through with my mom is hey, everybody that's applying to the scholarship is probably going to have good test scores as well. They're going to probably be a similar profile to me. And so what can I do to stand out? And I remember I was going back and forth with my counselor and teachers and different people that were helping me prepare my application for the scholarship. And they were just tell your story. The story is going to help you stand out the most. I'll get to why that was one of the greatest lessons that I've ever learned. But frankly, to be clear, people always ask me, how did Bill Gates give you $1 million? And I tell them it was because I shared my story. I recently found the essays that I wrote for that scholarship, but in the first few paragraphs, I'm talking about the impact that seeing my grandparents work until they were about 65 years old. I believe they retired around 60, 65, but seeing the impacts of them work, and then also my mom worked night and day, my dad worked so much. Although they worked so much, they still had financial struggles, and how that impacted me and why I was so focused on school and why I was so focused on, at the time, becoming a doctor to help more people. And I really expressed a lot of the goals that I had, but more importantly, in those essays, I didn't really talk about myself. I talked about the impact that people had around me. And I was even reading those essays recently as now a 27-year-old. And I was kind of intrigued by my writing skills, right? And so one of the things that I will share now after reflecting back on that experience is that if you want to win a scholarship like that, or just get into a good university, or, apply for anything, in those essays where they're asking you, what your goals are, what you want to do with the scholarship, or, those kind of open-ended questions like that. The best approach that I have, or the best tip that I have, I guess I could say, is to make it a story. As readers, right? As humans, human psychology, we love stories. And so I can imagine the person that probably reviewed my application probably didn't even look at all the test scores and everything. Maybe they did just to move me past another round and actually move me to somebody that would read my essays. But I'm sure those essays just stood out, and the pictures that I painted, the scenes that I painted, the details of my story that I shared, right? I shared one example of my grandparents splitting their checks or talking about finances with me and what that looked like, right? I shared another example of my mom spending some of her last money on getting me basketball shoes, and how she was still super excited for me to do that, but I was super conscious of the money, right? And how all those kind of money talks that I had so close to me impacted then the route that I wanted to take. As a CEO of now a marketing agency and doing a couple of other different ventures, one of my biggest secret weapons is continuing to share my story. And so I don't think I learned the power of storytelling and sharing my story until this Bill Gates scholarship. It has become a thing that I do daily. It has become my secret weapon into getting clients and attracting clients and having impact on social media and helping people, right? And so as much as you can get clear with what your story is, and not only clear, I think more comfortable with all the parts of your story and share that, you will find your people. You will find people that want to help you. You will find people that want to give you money, that want to see you win. You will find clients that want to be a part of your business. You will find great friends that want to be a part of your life. Don't be scared of your story, whatever facets of that, you may have. And the last thing that I'll say on this point too is that everybody has a story. I remember at 17 years old, I was thinking, I'm just an average 17-year-old. I don't know, like I just play basketball, I get good grades, like there's nothing interesting about me. But there is something interesting about everyone. Everybody's story is unique. So lean into that. Understand like what your story is and start sharing it. And the more you start sharing it and hear people's reactions back, the more you might start realizing like, oh, I do have a pretty unique story. So lean into your story and share it. You just never know who you can impact and how people can help you from hearing your story.